Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom! This is the show where we wake up with the Saturday morning sun, plopped on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, and try your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning, we watched SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron.
This is the most 90s name of a thing possible.
So much so that it's even cats spelled with a K to be cool.
I'm surprised they didn't put a Z in there too.
Dude, what's funny about that is I actually wrote, when I was making my notes, I kept writing SWAT Cats with a Z before I even saw the title name.
It's because you were smarter than them. You beat them to the punch.
I was ahead of their time, but way behind my time. So
exactly.
there was a period in there where Z was cool, and it was like a day or two.
And this was suggested to us by both Jeff Carruthers and Brian Putvin, aka our friend Putty. So thank you to Jeff and Putty.
Yeah, thanks guys. So the show SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron, I'm going to keep saying it as a whole, ran from 93 to 95.
Like you have to be like SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron.
Okay. SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron.
There you go.
And the music is just like, just let me touch back on that since you guys just heard it. This is my favorite music. One of my favorite theme songs ever in a show. It gets me so pumped just thinking about it.
It's metal through the whole freaking show. It's ridiculous.
The intro in general is just great. Like, obviously the animation in the intro is much different than the actual cartoon, but
definitely.
But it just looks amazing. If the whole cartoon had been just like the intro, hands down, it would have been the best cartoon ever made.
Yeah, I could say that. Unfortunately, it was not like the intro.
No. I still, well, I'll get there. Okay, so
you'll get there.
SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron ran from 93 to 95, created by Christian and Yvonne Tremblay, produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions, ran for 2 seasons, 23 episodes, and 1 special. It was on the TBS network initially. For short synopsis, 2 demoted fighter pilots battle evil as high-flying masked vigilantes.
It's true.
Sums it up.
You know, they
but it doesn't say that they're cat people at all.
Yeah, they kind of left that out. They're cats.
I was wondering if there were any other. Is this like an animal universe, or is it just a cat world? Because I don't think I saw any other. Like, there's no dogs. Like, no. Cats have segregated themselves into one city, Mega Cat City.
That's weird. I mean, that'd be like if we renamed LA like, Human City. That would be strange, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure the merits of the name of that town, but
well, the human equivalent of this group would be SWAT humans or SWAT people.
SWAT humans.
No,
it just sounds like an action more than a name.
Yeah,
just swatting some
just
humans.
Swatting humans. Well, so does swatting cats. Like, get out of here, cat. Swat them.
That's true. I used to do that all the time.
And you know what? They use that K throughout the show when they're referring to things. So I'm wondering if their species is specifically cats
radical
with the K. Well, they're so radical that it's cats with a K.
Everything's with a K. Yeah.
Yeah.
They use the word mega for everything too. Like, there's not just the city, but there's multiple things that are like mega. And like, I don't remember all of them offhand. Like, we'll figure it out once we start talking more, but yeah.
Off the top of my head, I remember the mega detonator. But,
and there was also a Megasaurus Rex.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. So
there we go. There's 2 of them right there.
Mega Radical, and I don't know if Tubular was a part of it. I didn't know. I think it was past that time. So scratch that.
I don't think it's ever past that time.
Tubular.
Where did tubular even come from? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, why is that cool? Yeah, it's like it's a tube-shaped thing. I'm trying to think of cool tube-shaped things. Yeah, like maybe it's just a big fan of those little like water tubes that you float on.
Oh yeah, it could be.
Or little water noodles.
Yes, there we go. Those things are awesome. You like blow into them, then you shoot water at people. It's fun.
Yeah,
that's tubular.
Tubular.
We're so hip with the times. and
we're
lingo.
radical.
We're
cool.
Straight fire, right? Hundo P.
We're cool guys, cool with a K and guys with a Z.
There we go. That's the name of the show now. That's the new
cool guys talking about
renaming
cool
the
things.
show. Cool guys talking about cool things.
So who are some of the actors who played in this show?
All right, so the character T-Bone was voiced by Charlie Adler, who we have talked about several times in this show. He's been in shows such as Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Gem, Brave Star, Tiny Toon Adventures as Buster Bunny, Rocco's Modern Life, Real Monsters, Earthworm Jim, Cow and Chicken, and Avengers Assemble. That's just a little taste of the repertoire of Charlie Adler. Very, very talented voice actor. Love the guy.
He was Cow and Chicken.
He was Cow and Chicken. He was also in I Am Weasel and IR Baboon, and I don't know who he voiced. It might be both, but not sure. The voice of Razor was Barry Gordon, who, what's really funny is listening to this, I was just like, you know what? This guy has the voice for the perfect Donatello. You know why? Because he did voice Donatello in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was also in Pac-Man, Pole Position, Snorks, and Gravedale High as Reggie, was it Moonshroud? I don't remember which character that was. He might have been the werewolf, but yeah. But I remember, I was just like, man, he's got such a good voice for Donatello. And then I'm like, oh, that is Donatello. Whoops. The character of Commander Farrell was voiced by Gary Owens, who has been in all kinds of stuff, usually older Hanna-Barbera things. But he was also the voice of Roger Ramjet, who's the original voice of Space Ghost. He was Blue Falcon from Dynamite Dog Wonder. He's been the narrator for tons of Hanna-Barbera cartoons such as Yogi's Space Race, Captain Caveman, and the Teen Angels. He was also the voice of Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy. And he actually came back to voice Space Ghost again for the Batman, the Brave and the Bold series, which is really awesome.
Well, I didn't know Space Ghost was in that too. Cool.
Yeah, I had no idea either. So I didn't think Space Ghost had anything to do with DC, but I don't know if they struck a deal or what. But
you know what? Now they do. Now he does actually, because there's a comic series going on with DC called Future Quest, and he's part of that.
That's right. I forgot. DC bought Hanna-Barbera, didn't they?
Yeah, they've got all kinds of awesome comics, and I'm reading some right now. So I should have known this, but I didn't.
You should have known this, Joseph. You should have been the one telling this. But the voice of Callie Briggs was Tress McNeil, which we just talked about in our last episode of, she was the voice of Huzzy from As Told by Ginger. She's also Dot from Animaniacs, and she's been in The Simpsons, Futurama, and she's also very well known as Daisy Duck from everything Walt Disney. The voice of the mayor, Mayor Manx, was Jim Cummings. Also someone that we've covered a lot in the show. He's been in Adventures of the Gummy Bears, Tailspin, Winnie the Pooh as Tigger, and eventually also Pooh. Bonkers, he was Pete from the Goofy cartoons and other Disney properties. Darkwing Duck, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Captain Planet, Iron Man, Earthworm Jim, The Savage Dragon, Powerpuff Girls, and Mighty Magus Swords. Long resume. Jim Cummings, just like Charlie Adler, both super awesome actors. Finally, last character I have here is Felina Farrell, who was voiced by Lori Allen, who was the voice of Susan Storm from the Fantastic Four cartoon in the 90s. She was also in Hey Arnold, Family Guy, SpongeBob as Pearl, the teenage whale girl person. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And also Rick and Steve, the happiest gay couple in all the world.
What is that from? Is that from SpongeBob also?
What, Rick and Steve?
Yeah.
No, that is a show. Rick and Steve, the happiest gay couple in the world.
I didn't know that was a show.
Yeah, and I don't understand exactly what it is, and I kind of want to watch it. But it looks like those little, it looks like those little people toys that, when you're a little kid, you have like the airplane or something, and you got those circular people that you put in stuff. That's what it looks like.
Oh, wow.
It's strange, and I want to know more about it. So if someone would suggest it, please, that'd be great. I want to check this out. Maybe I'll suggest. I'll throw it up on our list, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it on there right now.
Throw it up there and vote for it 100 times. You have the power.
You have the power, of voting.
Yeah. Which ultimately we can veto. So we really have the power, but you have some power.
So
you
it's
have
just
some power.
It's about as reliable as our actual voting system.
It's a little better. You can see where your show lies. So you have
we're a little bit better than the government. That's that's true. At least there's that.
Like when you were talking about the happiest gay couple, like for some reason I thought you were still on SpongeBob, and I was like, man, SpongeBob was really progressive. That's a really cool thing to have in that cartoon.
Yeah, not it's not quite as progressive as you thought.
Oh.
But I mean, it is very representational of underwater dwelling creatures that don't get nearly enough
publicity or attention. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Very factual, scientific even.
Yes.
So here's a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of SWAT Cat cereal. Originally, the giant bacteria was planned to air as the first episode of the series, but instead, The Pastmaster Always Rings Twice, which is what we watched, was aired as the first episode because of the huge box office success of Jurassic Park in '93, and also the increasing interest of the audience in dinosaurs during this period due to Jurassic Park. So thanks to Jurassic Park, this is why we see this episode first, which kind of like makes sense because when you're watching it, this team has already been established and they just kind of jump in like we should know who they are already and know their origin. And I know a lot of shows do that, but in this one, it just really feels like this shouldn't be the first episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, especially because like, well, I'll talk about when we get there. So it's just, they left a big part of the whole series out of the first episode. And I think that was a mistake.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about that more, but I just wanted to mention that. So originally it wasn't planned to be the first one, but it ended up being it because of, basically because of Megasaurus Rex.
Got it.
Also, due to high ratings, SWAT Cats became the #1 syndicated animated show of '94. There was also a SWAT Cats ad that was published in Animation Magazine in October-November '94, saying that there will be new episodes and new merchandise for SWAT Cats in '95. However, Ted Turner, owner of Turner Entertainment, which produced and aired the show, was reportedly displeased with the level of violence in the cartoon and led to delay of the merchandising and its eventual cancellation. And he was quoted to say, he was quoted on saying to Congress in a '95 interview after the show's cancellation, "We have more cartoons than anybody. The Flintstones, Jetsons, the Smurfs, Scooby-Doo. They're nonviolent. We don't have to worry that we're encouraging kids to kill each other like some of the other cartoon programs do." So in a way, like, this is kind of speculation a little bit, but people think he's referring to cartoons like SWAT Cats, which is why it was canceled prematurely, even though it was a very popular show.
So he's throwing some shade, basically.
Yeah.
See, I know the lingo.
Yeah, there's emphasis on some, like some cartoons.
Yeah. Man, what a jerk.
Hard shade.
It was interesting though that like when I found out this was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, I was like, wow, something really doesn't fit. Like that's a weird
one of these things
idea.
Is not like the other for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of thinking that in my head, but forgot how to say it. So thanks.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Lastly, on July 23rd, 2015, Christian and Yvonne Tremblay, the creators, announced a Kickstarter campaign to revive SWAT Cats, seeking
they did.
Yeah, seeking to produce the new series and, if possible, a 70-minute film. The goals were, I think the first goal was like 50,000 and then 100,000. It was like there was all these stretch goals, of course. Like if they had made, I think, 1 million, then they would have gotten to do this certain thing, like have a little mini series. If they had gotten like 1,500,000, they would have gotten to do like a full movie or whatever. Yeah. I think they ended at like 114,000 or something. So Still over their goal, but obviously not way to those stretch goals. So it's still, even though this was back in 2015 when this Kickstarter happened, it's still kind of in the works, quote unquote, and they're talking with studios and whatnot. So they're trying to make at least a short animation to pitch it to studios. So that's last really that people have heard of that. So it might happen. I'm hoping. We'll see.
Yeah, man. I get the idea of like not wanting to let go of stuff that you like and wanting to see more, especially if it was canceled too early. But I'm like, man, I swear it was like the last like 4 or 5 episodes we've done. There's either a reboot or a sequel or some sort of revival like in the works. And I'm like, just can we do new things? I want to do new stuff. Like we don't need to keep revisiting all the same. That's why we're always going to have Jurassic Park movies and Terminator movies and stuff because people won't let it die. Just let it die. Put it out its misery.
Yeah, that's right. Because there was going to be, or maybe still be, a reboot of Reboot.
Yeah, and As Told by Ginger as well.
Which was amazing. So, I mean, but still, like you said, though, I wouldn't say let things die because that sounds negative, but at least let them sit where they are as a pocket in time. And
let things
people enjoy
rest
them.
in peace.
Okay, well, that's
Does that
a little
sound better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue creating. But I don't know. SWAT Cats, since it did end prematurely, maybe they're just kind of wrapping up what they intended to initially. And in that case,
Sure.
I'd understand. Yeah. So have you ever heard of this show? Like, did you watch it when you were a kid?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. Like, I mean, I never watched it religiously, but like if it was on, in the block of cartoons I was watching, I would definitely watch it if it was there. So, I don't remember a lot about it. The only thing I really remembered about it was the two characters, T-Bone and Razor. I remember what they looked like. I remember a little bit of how they talked and that they flew jets. I didn't remember what they fought against or any of the other characters, or I didn't even remember their names. So I just had a bare bones understanding of what to expect coming in.
I really liked it when I was young. It wasn't one of those things where, since there wasn't like streaming and stuff or really the internet in any big way, like it's not like I could go back and be like, I'm going to watch this whole series. Because I don't think it was even released like in full on like a DVD or whatever until way later. So it's one of those things where when an episode came on, like you said, I caught it when I could. And I remember the theme song after all these years. I remember their names, and I remembered that they were like working in like the scavenger, or the salvage lot or whatever.
They were mechanics basically.
Yeah, kind of like they were demoted because of this whole thing that I won't really get into because it's not in any of the episodes we watched, but it's kind of a cool little backstory on how they got to where they are or why they are where they are. But when I was young, I really liked the show, and the theme song was stuck in my head forever. So
nice.
It's one that I liked, and so I was excited to step back into it.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. Very first episode, highest rated episode, and finally random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how this episode fall chronologically, but of course we have to start with the very first episode, which was, as I said, The Past Master Always Rings Twice, Season 1, Episode 1. And this one, the Past Master wants to bring back the Dark Ages and heads to the Megacat City Museum of History to search for his spellbook.
So one thing that was interesting was it opens with these two guys. They're like basically grave robbers, and they're unearthing this casket, and they open it up, and the Past Master guy's in there. And what he is a small, very small red skeleton, like red cat skeleton, who knows magic and stuff. So he resurrects like other cat skeletons to like fight people and all kinds of stuff. Well, like what I thought was weird was all the cat skeletons have ears, and I'm like, they don't have. There's no such thing as ear bones, like in that sense. I mean,
yeah, but with cats with a K, maybe there are.
That's true. I forgot about those ear bones. So
yeah.
I just thought it was kind of funny, and I'm like, this looks strange. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's not a real thing. Got
yeah.
it.
I really dug the opening though, because it reminded me a little bit of a horror movie, kind of a mix between Leprechaun and a little bit of Wishmaster, kind of in the way that it was presented.
Either of those.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we're going to watch those for our other show, but I just really like even almost, the Friday the 13th where Jason is brought back to life with a lightning rod. Like that's because they dug him up and everything. I mean, this guy, he's such a short or such a tiny person. They call him a gnome, I think, in the episode. He's just a very small villain in a cloak, but he's in like a treasure chest, like not even a full coffin. He's in a treasure chest for some reason. And maybe that's a way of them getting around, like putting something graphic, I guess, as a coffin or someone digging up a coffin. Maybe that was their way around that. Either way, I like what they did with it. And I enjoyed that it was like, it's kind of like your typical thing where he's sealed in the coffin because he's done something that we don't know what it is at this point yet. He's been in prison for 800 years, so this is all new to him. And he hitches a ride on the police helicopter comes by and like stops them. And then, because he raises some skeletons to fight off these grave robbers, and the police helicopter comes by. The skeletons try to like chop it up with whatever little hatchets or something they have in their hands, and obviously it doesn't work. So the helicopter flies off, and Passmaster grabs onto it, takes a ride to the city. This is him kind of experiencing this as a completely new, almost like Gargoyle-esque, where he's seeing this city for the first time in 800 years, and it's like all new stuff and technology to him.
Yeah, and that whole sequence goes on for a while too, because we don't actually even see T-Bone or Razor till about a quarter way through the episode, because it was like over 5 minutes before we got to them. And these are like 20-something minute episodes. So I was like, man, when are we gonna get to see these guys?
Yeah, which is why which is why it makes sense that it wasn't intended to be the first episode, because you don't even see like the primary characters for like the first 5 or 7 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, and my big gripe with this episode is that this is the first episode that they showed, and they did not show anything about them being mechanics or working in that scrapyard or anything like that. You only see them as the SWAT cats in this episode, so you don't get any of that other backstory.
Oh, you know what? You're
whatsoever.
Right. Like, I just knew that stuff coming into it, so I kind of took it for granted, but you're right. Like, they don't show any of that.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought that was so weird. I'm like, what a weird choice. Like, why would you start with that? I mean, now we know because money. Because they're like, oh, there's a T-Rex, or sorry, a Megasaurus Rex in this episode. We should air that first because money's, and that's why they did it. But that was a really stupid idea, I think.
I wonder if that's why the Megasaurus Rex was in the intro also.
I honestly think so. Yeah. Now that, since you
cool,
brought that up, I'm like, yeah, that's probably why. Because it's not like it ever comes back.
Not that I know of. I mean, Passmaster comes back at some point, but
right. But you'd think he would come up with like other plans instead of the same one that already failed.
You'd think so.
But, Shredder. So
yeah.
that happens.
So when we first get introduced to T-Bone and Razor, though, they're in like I don't even know what those machines are called, but they're the things like you see when people are going into space, like at NASA, where they have to test their resistance
like
to
0G thing.
Yeah, and so they're just going around in circles, like trying to see who can last the longest at like Mach 5 or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
and like they're passing out and like testing each other and whatever. And then they start getting a call from Callie Briggs, who is basically the third SWAT cat, or almost like she's kind of like the person on the inside who...
She's their April O'Neil.
Yeah. So, she's got insight on everything because she's deputy mayor. So she's inside of all of this that's going on. And they have a little like pager, basically, that she pushes a button and it's like... and announces that she's calling or whatever, warning them of what's going on in the city. Because they're pretty far outside of the city in the salvage yard.
So, like, one thing that I noticed too is just like, did you notice that like any of the female cats don't look very much like cats? Like they're very smooth. Their noses are really small. Like they're not drawn like the male characters. And it's not a distinguish to make them, look female. Because I mean, they still, of course, draw them with the female like hourglass kind of figure and stuff, but like the faces are drawn pretty different. Like they don't have all of the same attributes that all the male characters have. And I thought that was weird because they look more like squirrels or mice or something like that. Yeah, the way they're drawn.
Specifically, an example I was going to give was Callie looks like, she reminds me a lot of Gadget from Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, she does.
Who I was also attracted to. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
So they knew what they were doing when they did this, is what you're saying.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if that was a thing too. Like, I wonder if they were kind of like, well, let's try to make them look a little bit more humanish than the guys, so we can try to get that factor in there. So.
Yeah, like I said, they're cats with a K, so it's a completely different species.
It's true.
It's still like, just thinking about it, like I'm wondering, because there's dinosaurs obviously, so there are other animals and such, or other life forms. It's like, is this only a planet of cats though?
They have frogs, lizards, crocodiles.
Yeah. And they know the names of these creatures, so they've seen them before. So it's like,
yeah.
Are they the only sentient species? What would have been great and really kind of like horrifying in a way was if like there were some of them that had like pet humans just crawling around.
Oh God, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a total like Planet of the Apes, but with cats.
Yeah, no,
it's
definitely.
just like I'm just picturing right now like this big white fluffy cat just sitting on like a table one day. and he's just, slowly edging something to the edge. And then he like the owner's like, don't do it. And then he just swipes it off anyway, because cats are jerks like that. And then the cat realized, he's like, holy shit, I've got the power. And then, then the cats took over and, eventually evolved and replaced us. So
yeah, that's
pretty
what
sure.
it was.
I'm pretty sure it went exactly like that.
What would have been the best possible scene ever and would have made this show for me is if they had human pets and there was a human laying on the table batting something off of it. I'd be like, oh, that's so meta and awesome. I love it.
I just feel like that wouldn't get by. Like, if there's like a human, like a naked human with a collar sitting on a table knocking stuff off, I feel like people would be like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, that's a red light. Yeah.
Would the humans be small or would they still be big?
No, they'd be tiny and adorable and probably have diapers on. I'm gonna say diapers. Yeah, or no, onesies. That would be a little more they have cute onesies.
Onesies. There we go.
See, I solved the problem right there.
I think you did.
Just saying, for SWAT Cats, the resurrection of SWAT Cats, the reboot, human pets.
What are the requirements to have a squadron? I feel like it should be more than 2.
It is more than 2. It's 3. Remember, Callie.
Well, I think it'd be more than 3 also. What makes them a radical squadron?
Yeah, can we be a squadron? Just
I
want to
know the specifics.
Are we a squadron?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we could be.
Going off their logic, yes. Yes, we are.
Okay, it's an operational unit in an air force consisting of 2 or more flights of aircraft and the personnel required to fly them. So 2 or more flights of aircraft. So they only have 1 aircraft. They're not a squadron.
That's true. They have 1 aircraft, but they have like other vehicles in there. Maybe that counts.
Posers is what they are.
The near squadron. It just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Squadron.
I just noticed there's a hole in my pants. Right in the crotch.
So Passmaster, all he wants to do for whatever reason. Okay, so Dark Ages, not that I lived them, but I've seen historical documentation or whatever. That seemed like a really bad time. It was called the Dark Ages for a reason. For some reason, Passmaster is just like, I want this brought back to now. Like that's his villainous thing. It's not like I want to take over the world or anything. He's just like, I want it to be like it was in the past. Like,
yeah, that's just weird to me because I feel like, it'd be like if you went somewhere that was just dark and gross and just sad and depressing, like, why would you want to go back to it? It's like, now that I am where I am now, like, I never want to go back to Branson, Missouri. I mean, that place.
So it was just so weird to me that, like, that was his plan. Like, if his plan had been, I'm going to bring these dinosaurs in so that I can take over the world as, the Megasaurus Rex master or whatever, I'd be like,
that should be his new name.
That's more plausible. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that was his plan, I would have been more accepting of it. But it's just bringing back the Dark Ages. It just seems like a really odd thing, unless that was just like reliving his childhood or something where he's like trying to bring his youth back.
I don't know, man. I think it's just weird.
Yeah. Well,
like, I mean,
he's a skeleton villain of some sort.
He's literally, he's just a skeleton. So he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So he starts like summoning things through like these portals. He summons like dinosaurs, all kinds of stuff. So the SWAT cat, I almost said the squat cats. The SWAT cats are, flying in and fighting against these monsters, these, dinosaurs and stuff. He's bringing through. He's going to unleash this big old spell at the stroke of midnight. Like, he has to be at the highest clock tower at the stroke of midnight to do this, to return it to the Dark Ages. And I don't know what the Dark Ages has to do with dinosaurs, but I mean, maybe. So as this is going on, the SWAT cats are out and they're shooting stuff with their airplane. I gotta say, the animation, it's very well animated, but sometimes it's so busy. There's just so much going on that it's very hard for me to focus on what's happening. It's very fast paced. It's moving around a lot. They in every episode they do something because they're in a aircraft. They do something where they're spinning around the screen. Like you're looking at them while they're rotating all the way around, and I'm just like, man, it makes you a little dizzy, and there's just so much going on that like my ADD couldn't take it a few times, and I was just like, I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, I get you. It was kind of busy, especially when they bring the like pterodactyls in. And there's so many of them, and they're just all flying around. So the SWAT cats get like literally swatted by the Megasaurus Rex's tail in the present through a portal into the past. And there they're kind of facing off against these pterodactyls who are trying to eat them, I would assume. In some way, because Razor is the Donatello of this cartoon, like he figures out a way to use the natural gas of a volcano to use as fuel for the ship itself. Like literal fossil fuels, I guess.
Yes.
And it works because because the way he passes it off is like, I modified the gas tank or something to accept these fuels, and he does it in like 2 minutes. So it's
I'm like, with what? Like, what do you have at your disposal that you can modify a mechanical engine when you're in like dinosaur times? Like,
yeah,
I hauled out some bones, and we're just gonna hope that works.
Yeah, he figured it out, and it works surprisingly. Doesn't blow them up, which is what he was afraid it might do. So they fly back in, like it's one of those last minute things. And what's kind of crazy about it is like, so the big clock tower is where the past master has gotten on top of in order to change back to the Dark Ages. Like when it strikes midnight, that's when his spell goes through, which is from his spell, the Tomb of Time that he has picked up. There was his old book that was in the museum and all this. In trying to do this, like this clock's going, and the SWAT cats come in and literally stop it from going to 12 by shooting a missile into it. So violence is always the answer, especially when trying to stop time. And so,
like, none of their missiles actually explode. They all just kind of do different things. Like they turn into something.
Oh, like,
or like this missile.
Missiles. Yeah.
All it did was block the hand from moving, and that was it.
Yeah, it was like the time block missile. It had a very specific purpose, but it worked when it needed to.
And I thought that was kind of stupid that, like, when he said he needed to do this thing at the stroke of midnight, he literally needed the clock to say midnight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's just like, well, if my watch doesn't say midnight, it's not midnight,
you know
kind of deal.
I'm not going to work tomorrow because I'm going to turn my alarm to where it only says 7:30.
Exactly. I wish that's how it worked, but apparently that's how it works for him.
Yeah.
Or at least magic.
So then the SWAT cats, like, just kind of fly their jet, the Turbo Cat. That's what it was called? Yeah, the Turbo Cat into the, again, if it was a human jet, it would be the Turbo Human. So
yeah, okay. I was just thinking of that. Could you imagine like some sort of like, I don't know, like what if in Top Gun they're flying Turbo Humans?
Yeah, instead of F-14s, like we're flying Turbo Humans.
The arm on my Turbo Human's been hit. I'm going down.
I like it. The more I hear it, the more I like it. So I wish they had done it now.
Like, let's land the Turbo Human and play volleyball shirtless.
Sorry, I just got to fix my Turbo Human.
Yeah.
Is this a euphemism or yeah? Past Master gets knocked back through the portal, himself going back in time. I don't know if his book goes with him or if it falls on the ground. It looks like it falls outside of the portal, but then they say like, well, the book's gone. Like the people in the present do. And so I don't know, maybe it fell with him. That's how they're going to talk him back into the episodes. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first episode. I thought it was a cool episode overall. There were just some like nitpicky things like we talked about that I was like, really?
Yeah. I just feel like they kind of like, I mean, it was fine as an episode. As a first episode, I don't think it was very good.
Yeah.
But as an episode itself, I think it was fine.
Yeah, it definitely needed some lead in, but I agree it was a fine episode. And again, my previous knowledge of SWAT cats got me through it in a easier way. But yeah, you're right. There's like zero origin, zero intro to the characters. You don't even see them for the first like 7 minutes. So
it's weird.
Yeah, they should have stuck with their original one, but I get that dinosaurs are popular.
Dinosaurs are always going to be popular.
That's true.
Yeah.
So the second episode we watched for today's show was Mutation City, Season 2, Episode 1. This one I chose because basically I like the title of it. I just thought it was a cool title. It was between this one and a different one, which ended up being the highest rated, and that one we watched after this. So
yeah,
for Mutation City, it was Season 2, Episode 1. Dr. Viper turns the city into a mutant-filled swamp.
Also, Dr. Viper was voiced by Frank Welker.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, you can kind of hear it now.
Especially when he's bigger, it was reminding me of Megatron.
So he's a crocodile-looking cat thing? I don't know.
He reminds me of, if you go back to Darkwing Duck, he reminds me a little bit of Bushroot.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I guess he's done experiments on himself. I don't know. I mean, he's still cat-like, but he's green, and he's got, like, something weird shooting out of his head. I don't know what that was. Was that supposed to be hair? What was the head?
I guess it was almost like the leaves of a plant, I guess, but it was
It almost looked like
fashioned as
leaves
his
or
hair.
propeller or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Maybe
he
a little
likes
beanie
swamps
on.
a lot. He's a big swamp fan.
He's a swamp guy, yeah.
Yeah, so he wants everything to be swamp now. And even in this, I don't remember the context, but I have a note that at one point the SWAT cats actually yelled the word radical together.
Well, yeah,
and
of
I
course.
just wanted to make note of that.
Because this is like the cowabunga of the SWAT cat show.
Yeah. I mean, they're basically like Ninja Turtle cats.
Well, the extended title of Ninja Turtles would be like Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga crew.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I think you can still be a crew with 4 people.
Yeah, how many do you need to be a crew?
I think 4 people is acceptable. I think I would say 3 or more would be a crew.
We'll check on that, but yeah, I think it sounds reasoning to me.
But for us to be a squadron, we have to get 2 jets. We don't have to fly them or anything, but we need 2 jets, and then we can be a squadron.
Oh, okay. So it's a group of persons involved in a particular kind of work or working together. So I guess there's no necessary, like as long as you can be a group of persons.
So we're a group of persons. We can be a crew, at least.
Yeah. Cartoon crew.
Cartoon crew. Man, that's a much better title than ours. Should have gone with it.
We messed up.
We did.
Okay, so what did he do?
Basically, we just see this like ooze coming out of the sewers. This like orange goo. This just starts erupting from the sewers and everything. And we get to see it like at the mayor's house. He's about to go take a shower, and it starts coming out of his shower head. And what this goo or this ooze is doing, it's like it's messing with the DNA of these other creatures, like specifically, I think frogs. And like turning them into giant mutant frogs who are, I don't know if they're like zombies or if they just hunger for flesh because they're big frogs and they're looking for food or what.
Oh, yeah. If you give a frog that much power, I mean, it's going to happen.
He would treat us as flies, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's all this, these big, like mutated, like plants, like these big vines sticking out of everything.
Oh, there was also a mutated octopus as well.
Yeah. And I think some of the vines drip acid or something.
Yes.
Because they started melting like helicopters, and they even started melting like the SWAT cats, Turbo Cat.
I dug this. What I didn't understand was why it only affected animals and plant life. Like it didn't affect the cat people at all. Not in the right way. Until T-Bone gets bitten by one of the frogs that is mutated, which goes against, because it's not like the frog got bitten. It's not like a zombie logic where you have to get bitten and become it and then bite and go on and spread it. It's like the frog gets mutated, then the frog has to bite the cat, because there were many times that they were either doused in this liquid or completely under, not water, but under the liquid, like swimming
through it. Yeah.
Where they should have been turned, but maybe it's just frog DNA and plant DNA. I don't know. That part didn't make sense to me, because there were many times I was waiting for them to get transformed, because I was like, oh no, they fell in it. And it's like, oh, but nothing's happening. Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, exactly. And I got confused with the acid part of that too, because I at first I thought it was just like that mutagen was acidic because like that one helicopter landed in it and started melting. But then like the Colonel Farrell and I think it was Felina, both fell into it and they were fine. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that works,
they
I guess.
Didn't mutate or melt or anything. So
yeah, that was weird. There was a lot of inconsistencies here.
Just the big one is just like the cat people were not affected by it at all.
Yeah.
So something that's kind of a little bit of a throwaway scene that maybe comes into play a tiny bit is that at the very beginning of this, T-Bone and Razor are training together in this obstacle course they've built. And we come to find, because T-Bone falls in this water pit that they have built, and Razor keeps going, and we find out that T-Bone is unable to swim. Like he nearly drowns when he's like in the middle of like, who knows how deep it is. It doesn't look very deep, but
it was basically a puddle.
Yeah, he's a cat in water. Like he's
he's
just
Cats
freaking
hate
out,
water.
and he almost drowns. And so he can't swim, but that doesn't really come back into play in any big way. Not like well, it does and it doesn't, I guess.
It does, but they don't call attention to it really.
No, you're right, because I didn't even think
weird.
about it until just now, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, it did come into play. They just don't say anything about it. But yeah,
there's basically a part towards the end where Razor is, I think he's knocked unconscious, and he's in the water, and T-Bone has to swim to save him. And like, and he does, and he gets him out and stuff like that. And then like they get out of the water and they're just like, ooh, that was a close one kind of thing. But that's it. I mean, they don't really call attention to like suddenly T-Bone learned how to swim with no problems. Like,
yeah. Or overcame his fear or anything. Like no one said anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Dr. Viper turned himself into Godzilla at one point. Yeah,
which was really cool. Like that was probably my favorite part of this episode.
Yeah. And so he's like ransacking the town. He's actually doing pretty well. Like for a villain, he's actually winning pretty well. The big mistake here that he made was not destroying that chemical building where there was a whole wing just dedicated to anti-mutagen. I was like, that is the most convenient thing ever. Perfect.
Second mistake he made was holding on to those canisters of the antidote for way too long. When he should have just like, either destroyed them or thrown them really far or something. I don't know. But he was just holding it, waiting for them to get shot by a passing jet. Like he was asking for it.
So the whole like save the day plan was that the T-Bone Razor had to go to this chemical plant. They had to get these big canisters of anti-mutagen from the anti-mutagen room, which is, super convenient that this exists. And that would solve everything. So they're going to get it. T-Bone gets bit by a scary frog, and he becomes half mutated. He doesn't even mutate all the way.
Yeah.
Razor has to basically incapacitate him, and then Razor goes on to try to finish this himself, and it works. I mean,
basically, like at the end, they have a little like everybody's laughing kind of joke thing. Well, not even like, not as bad as that, not as extreme as it is in some shows where it's like, like the whole, it's just like
a very Hanna-Barbera thing to do though.
Yeah, that's true. Where T-Bone's just like, well, let's go get the Turbo Cat and then some flies for breakfast. And because he used to be a mutant frog or whatever. And then
I don't know.
Then he was like, just kidding. And that was it. So, and they didn't really laugh about it, but it was like just an end joke thing.
It was kind of. They tried. How would you describe the two characters of Razor and T-Bone? Like,
okay, I'm going to describe them in Ninja Turtle terminology. So at their core, T-Bone is Raphael, Razor is Donatello, and they have bits and pieces of Michelangelo and Leonardo mixed into both of them. So that's how I would say that. I don't know of a way, because it's like T-Bone's like the bigger, tougher guy, and he's great at driving. Like he's a great pilot and driver or whatever. And obviously Razor is the brains of the operation. He does machines, but he still is competent as a fighter, and he's very accurate as far as shooting missiles and whatnot goes. But they both kind of joke back and forth. Neither of them is like a straight party dude or anything. And neither of them is the technical leader. So that's why I say Michelangelo and Leonardo are mixed into both of them.
They're both kind of like jerks to each other. Like they're constantly like belittling each other and like competing with each other. Like they're just always trying to one up each other and stuff like that. Like who's tougher and everything. And I just thought that was kind of weird that it's like the two heroes are actually kind of dicks to each other, which is
they're kind of like they kind of have like a bro mentality.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. They are total cat bros. They're the most bro cat things I've ever seen.
But they have good hearts. They have good intentions. But to each other, they're very competitive.
Unlike some bros.
Well, they're kind of like in that way brothers. They're not technically brothers, but they act like it.
Right. Yeah.
I think their actual names are Chance and Jake. T-Bone is Chance and Jake is Razor. Those aren't their real names. Those are their code names. So because no one,
that's weird.
For whatever reason, nobody knows, not even Callie knows who the SWAT cats really are. I don't really get how they wouldn't have just kind of figured it out. You're led to believe that no one knows who they really are.
Right. Even though the only thing they use to disguise themselves is like a tiny little mask that covers their eyes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt like if I walked into the room with like a handkerchief just around my eyes, you would still know who I was.
I would probably still know, yeah.
You would be like, why are you wearing that over your eyes? And I'd be like, you don't know my life. You don't know me.
Who are you?
I'm a SWAT human.
Yeah. Gotta go get my turbo human and fly away.
I gotta jump into the cockpit of my turbo human.
Hop in.
Oh, God. Hop in. God. What have we done?
So, the last episode we watched for today's show was The Dark Side of the SWAT Cat, Season 2, Episode 9. And this one was the highest rated by far. Like on iTunes, or not iTunes, sorry. On IMDb, like by far, like the rest of them were like 7s or whatever. This one was like 8.9. Like so far and above, this was the highest rated there.
Wow.
And I could kind of see why. I liked the direction this episode went. And it's like, it's a cliche that happens in a lot of shows, but I think this one did it really well. What happens is the SWAT cats visit a parallel dimension where their counterparts are evil. And like I said, it sounds very cliche, but they handle it well.
Well, the one thing I'm glad that they didn't do is I'm glad the evil counterparts didn't end up in their world, because then I think it would have been too cliche.
Yeah, that's what you know what? That's exactly what I thought was going to happen when it started and they went to the other world. I was like, oh no, it's going to be that basic thing. It's kind of like how we had expectations of As Told by Ginger, but were surprised at the outcome.
What I thought was weird was people like in this, I'll call it the bad dimension. So I guess there's a bad guy that must be known to like fans of the show. I didn't know who he was, but the bad SWAT cats are working with him in this bad universe.
Dark Cat.
That's very aptly named. And what I thought was strange is that, so the good SWAT cats don't really even look or sound like the bad SWAT cats, and yet everyone constantly gets them mixed up. They don't wear the same uniforms. Their coloring is slightly different. Their voices aren't anywhere near the same.
It's like kind of excusable and understandable for like the public to confuse them.
Yeah.
But it's a little inexcusable to me for them to confuse themselves with each other. Like when,
that's weird.
When they were fighting each other, like straight on head to head, like fist fighting or whatever, T-Bone started beating up his own Razor instead of fighting the other Razor when there are very clear differences, especially when you're that close to each other.
Yeah. And it was just, it seemed a little, it just seemed weird, because it'd be like if me and you started an episode, but like if you came in and you were like, welcome to Saturday morning cartoon boom, I'd be like, I don't know if that's the right person. Like maybe that's not.
Is this usually what you sound like?
Yeah, like that's a little different. But like to them, if that happened, they would just accept it and be like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm sure this is what it always sounds like. I must just be thinking weird.
Right.
So that was strange. But yeah, Dark Cat is a little on the nose as far as.
Well, again, take it back to Human World. This is Dark Human is the name of this villain.
It's true. Dark Human. Never trust that guy.
No. Oh, wow. That could go south real quick. Yeah.
Whoops. Let's just leave that alone. Let's not take that joke any farther. Let's just like all the cartoons that they keep trying to bring back. Let's just let it rest in peace.
No, let this one die. Like for real.
let it die horribly. Yeah. What's the actual interesting reveal of this whole thing is that Callie is actually evil also. Yes,
which is the reason it's so interesting is everyone else in this universe, for whatever reason, even though it's like a dark universe, it's
everyone else is the same.
Everyone else is the same except for the SWAT cats and Callie, which means that Callie is so closely tied to the SWAT cats. Like she's almost the reason for their existence in a way, or the reason they're able to sustain themselves. And it's so much so that when they are dark, when they go like evil, like she goes evil with them.
Yeah, and it seems like she's the one, at least in this dark universe, she's the one that's in charge. Like they're fulfilling her plans, and instead of her aiding them.
Yeah,
so they're almost like henchmen for her.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know what? As much as I say that, like, I like the way they handled this, I think Darkwing Duck did it better. Just thinking about that, because you got Negaduck, who is the Darkwing Duck, the evil Darkwing Duck. But then
the darker winged duck.
Yeah, but then in Negaduck's universe, all the good people are evil and all the evil people are good. Like all the other villains are like good guys in that universe. I like the complete like flip of that. It's like if you're going to turn one set of people, like why not do it with everybody? That's the part that confused me a little bit, but I guess it could be kind of like a multiverse, not just like a complete like mirror image of this universe. Where it's like
it's
the
definitely
opposite,
not a mirror universe. Well, what's funny too is like, even though they're kind of a mirror version of the SWAT cats, the bad SWAT cats are still jerks to each other, just like the good ones are. They're always calling each other stupid and like getting in fights with each other. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what the other ones do. So that works.
They're very similar, except they have they're not henchmen of Dark Cat, but they work very closely with him.
Yeah, they're partners.
They're partners, but they kind of utilize his almost his style in a way with their costumes. They have these like green skulls on all their stuff, or like little demon things. I can't remember what they called, like because one of Dark Cat's little demons, he's like I don't know what he is exactly, but he like summons little imps or something, and they have a name, but I can't remember the name of them. But creeplings, that's what they are, creeplings.
I like that name, creeplings.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so he summons them in the regular universe, but here the reason that SWAT cats are so confused is because like they go back to their base, it's all trashed and gross looking, and there's creeplings like wandering around it, so they're freaked out, and that's when they kind of first discover. Well, not the first time actually. They first discover it because when they're in the air flying back to their place, like they get attacked by Commander Farrell and Felina, who would normally just kind of let them pass or whatever, or just Farrell complains about them all the time, but he's not going to directly attack them. So here they're known villains, and the police are after them.
I mean, you can kind of guess what happens. Of course, it's going to be a case of mistaken identity. They capture the good SWAT cats. They don't believe them. And the good SWAT cats find out this plan that Callie and Dark Cat are about to unleash, because both of them mistake them for being the bad SWAT cats. So they find privy to this bomb that they're going to let go. Callie gets the good SWAT cats out of jail, thinking they're the bad ones. It's just, it's just a whole big old thing of mistaken identity thing. But basically it comes down to they're trying to get to this bomb before the bad SWAT cats do. And the bad SWAT cats find out that the good SWAT cats are there. So they're heading there to head them off also and retrieve the bomb. So they end up in the same place at the same time, and shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, and this is where the mega detonator comes into play.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the bomb. And what's cool, you're the bomb. What's cool, what I liked about the ending of this episode was it kind of was more like hardcore than I thought it was going to be. So the good SWAT cats are facing off against the dark SWAT cats, the evil ones, and they're about to go and bomb the Enforcer headquarters, which is like the police headquarters.
Right.
And with this giant mega detonator that Dark Cat has constructed and that they've stolen back. And in the process of that, they shoot like some kind of missile at the good SWAT cats and take them down. But right as they do that, Razor shoots off some kind of cement gun at the missile, the launch portion, I guess, the compartment that would drop the missile onto the base. And in trying to drop it, like it's jammed in there, obviously, but it still goes off. And it basically vaporizes the dark SWAT cats, like just completely obliterates them.
And then Callie gets arrested, right? At the end?
Yeah, she does get arrested because the good SWAT cats have told Felina what's going on.
Oh yeah, Felina, we didn't talk about her, but she's kind of BA. I like her character a lot. Like she's the I think, as you said, the niece of
Commander Farrell.
Commander Farrell, yeah, and she's like she's got a good head on her shoulders. She's a much better cop and pilot than he is. Like she's basically the best, and she actually believes in what the SWAT cats are doing, like the good SWAT cats. obviously.
Yeah, she's a very strong female character, which is good to see. And in a way, so is, even though she's more passive in a lot of ways, so is Callie. Like, she's very intelligent, and she gets a lot of things done on the other side of the fence, whereas the SWAT cats have most of the action. But she will still help to defend the SWAT cats when necessary and when she's able to.
Right. The only other gripe that I have, which I think is weird, is the whole reason that they end up in the alternate universe is just that they got hit by lightning.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, they got hit by lightning, but it's when they were testing Razor's new invention, which was a dimensional radar. And because it was a dimensional radar, they got struck by lightning. The obvious thing that it did was transport them to another dimension.
I mean, obviously.
Obviously.
Of course, that's what's going to happen.
They got transported back by getting like electrocuted or shot with some kind of like other sort of electricity or something, right?
I think they got hit by lightning again. I don't remember, but you might be right.
Maybe.
Something electrical hit them again.
Yeah, it mixed with the dimensional radar and shot them right back home. So it was kind of like a weird reason for them to go to another dimension, but I accept it. It's whatever.
Just don't question it.
No, don't question dimensional radars. Why it was a dimensional radar, I don't understand, but hey.
Exactly.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we call our inner SWAT kids into action, and I guess also dress them like cute little cats in customized military gear so they can fly in and save the day by telling us what they thought of the cartoon SWAT cats.
This cartoon seemed kind of cool because there were cute cat girls and lots of action and lots of cool fights with jets, but I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. The SWAT cats were kind of fun, but they're super mean to each other, and sometimes that got annoying. Plus, cats make me sneeze. So I gave this cartoon 3 bowls of Megasaurus Rex cereal out of 5. Now, I'm gonna go stand outside so I can get struck by lightning and visit another dimension.
This show was the coolest, spelled with a K, of course. Not only was it action-packed, but also full of cool villains and a pair of imperfect heroes who sometimes literally had to stumble their way to victory against vastly more powerful foes. Also, just like with Ninja Turtles, you've got the nerdy Donatello-esque character who I can most relate to in Razor. He too does machines, but is still able to kick shell. Or tail in this case. Overall, I'd give SWAT Cats 4 big bowls of Turbo Cat Crunch cereal out of 5, and really hope they do end up reviving it. And I think I'm going to change my morning alarm to the SWAT Cats theme song from now on. I get pumped just thinking about it. Now if I could just convince my parents to take me to school in a jet.
Really, though, I am going to set my alarm to the SWAT Cats theme for a while and see if it helps me get pumped.
I like that.
I feel like it will. It even has like kind of an alarm thing to it where it goes like the brr, 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 and then it's like, okay, if that doesn't wake me up, then the like that'll get me up and get me like ready to go to work, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm at work, but at least I'll be excited on the way there.
I think that's a good idea. I have a problem where when my alarm goes off, I walk over and shut it off, and then I go back to sleep, which has been kind of a problem.
Yeah. Do you set your alarm far away from yourself to where you have to get up and walk over to it?
Yep. And then I walk right back to bed.
Which defeats the purpose
entirely. I know. I'm going to have to mount it on a wall and climb like a ladder or something. And
you need to get one of those things where it's like you have to, it like launches a little helicopter off of your alarm. You have to go get the helicopter and like put it back into place.
Yes.
For it to stop.
Oh God, that would be annoying. So do you have any final thoughts on SWAT Cats?
With SWAT Cats, it was something I really did like still, even going back into it. There are a lot of nitpicks about it and things where you just have to kind of let it happen and kind of let your suspension of disbelief go as much as you have for a show about anthropomorphic cats flying jets. But it's like there were things where it's like obvious that it should have been a certain way, or, in my mind, it should have been, but it didn't happen that way. But still, like, the animation was good. I liked the characters, even though they were kind of bullying each other. Like, they had good intentions, and in my mind, they were doing it to better each other. And overall, the villains were cool. And I just think it's a good show. I don't know if it needs to be rebooted necessarily, but maybe it'll benefit from that. Either way, I think that anyone who hasn't seen it should check out a few episodes, see if you dig it. I know I did. And there's also a Super Nintendo game of it that I need to play again. It's been a long time, but I think I liked it when I was young.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that Nintendo game. I never played it though. But yeah, I wanted to like this show more, but I really couldn't. It was to me, it felt really predictable, and there was so much going on so fast at times on the screen. It was just so busy that I had a hard time focusing enough to pay attention during the fights and stuff, which are probably the most like the best animated scenes. So that's just kind of a shame for me. I mean, there was some fun things to it though, you know? So like, it's just, to me, it was kind of an average cartoon, like an average 90s cartoon. Plus T-Bone and Razor, to me, honestly, are just like, they're like cat versions of the pilots from Top Gun. Like they're just these really testosterone jacked alpha males, like grandstanding and trying to one up each other constantly, which is, I can kind of see that, you know, working in some situations, but it just kind of, after a while, it got kind of annoying to me. You know, if they progress throughout the series and stuff, and that kind of starts slowing down because they start trusting each other a little more, if they like got along a little better and understood each other more, I think I would be like, oh, okay, I see this. There's a progression to it. But from what I could tell, it was just kind of like the status quo, and it was going to stay that way. But regardless, I mean, they were still heroes, and that's good. It wasn't enough for me to want to keep watching more.
That's understandable. I think it definitely screamed 90s. You get that from
Radical.
Yeah, you get that from the radical part of it. The cool cats with a K. All it needed was a Z to top it off. I don't know why they didn't put that in there. But I guess on a side note, if not the director, maybe the writer for the last episode we watched was Jim Katz with a Z. So I just wanted to take note of that because I thought it was cool.
Of course.
Katz with a K and a Z. So Jim Katz is like what I expected SWAT cats to be.
It should have been.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Pro Stars, submitted by no one, but chosen to celebrate America's favorite holiday, the Super Bowl. Even though neither of us really care about sports ball at all.
No, not really. I will watch a Super Bowl now and then, but this one I think has the Patriots in it, so not interested.
I'm pretty sure all of them do, right?
Yeah, most of them do. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, eventually they're just going to call it the Patriot Bowl.
You don't want to see that because it's the same thing you've already seen 100 times before.
Exactly.
Come on, NFL. Like, plan your shows a little better.
Yeah, Niffle. Get with it.
Niffle. So thank you, Jeff and Putty, for suggesting this to us. I, for one, definitely liked stepping back into it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That's all he had to say.
That's all.
Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth,
a place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.